Alright guys, we're back again this year for NHL 24. It has just been released, and I have to say, this year, I'm once again feeling a little apathetic towards the game. If you don't remember me or my video from last year, I'm somebody who grew up playing hockey and therefore obviously playing the NHL video games. I have to say, in recent years, these games have not compared to what we had back in the early to mid 2000s. One of my main issues with NHL 24 is the lack of game modes. NHL 23 was the first time I didn't get the NHL game on release since I can remember. This year, once again, I think I'm skipping on buying. It looks like there may be some steps taken forward with new producers being hired at EA, and it seems like there has been some effort put into a major overhaul, but I think that may take some time to see flourish, and it's just honestly not enough to justify spending our hard-earned money on this game. Like for example, when one of your biggest and newest additions to the game this year in the reveal trailer is making Goalie completely unplayable in an effort to make the game more casual friendly, then rolling it back immediately after the technical test and bringing back the old controls is a complete failure in my eyes. They've had to roll back on a few of only 3 or 4 new features they promoted because everyone hated it so much even before the game released. Big Mike Babcock being fired before training camp vibes here, guys. So has the community grown so apathetic that a few changes and bug fixes warrant our $80 to $120 Canadian? Or has the spirit of the community been killed off? Like last year, enough with the open-ended ranting, let's get into everything step by step and see if NHL 24 could be worth your time and money. And really quick, this video is brought to you by Snipe Show Hockey Apparel. Check out the apparel on Instagram for some high quality toques and some funny sayings. Pre-orders are now open so you can get your hands on some of these killer toques. There is a plethora of colors and there are more designs on the way. So the first piece of news we received on NHL 24 was the reveal trailer. Crossplay once again revealed, but guys, Fortnite has had crossplay since 2018. Now while this is a good thing, it has taken far too long to implement. I believe that poor attempt at crossplay last year was to save what's left of the player base, as the wait times in NHL 22 to find a game were sometimes up at 5 to 7 minutes. Speaking of the player base, we're not going to pretend like it isn't dying, right guys? I mean, look at EA's view count on their YouTube channel this year compared to last year's failure of a game. Either way, crossplay is finally here for the better, and now the community is finally connected. Not as GMs though, we're going to have to continue to wait for that. The exhaust engine and the pressure system would be a welcome to change if it was done correctly. Pressure system is completely broken and not true to real hockey, and they have addressed it and said it would be tweaked for release. Well, the game is here, it's been released, and it hasn't really been tweaked at all. Now, as broken as it is, the pressure system to me is what has always been there. It's ice tilt, but with a name and distracting graphics on the ice and boards. The one-touch passes are a welcome change, and quick passes are nice, but if you really knew how to play the game before, you can move the puck pretty well. Goalie fatigue as a concept is pretty cool, especially when getting peppered with shots, but from the trailer, technical test, and now 10-hour trial, goalies are getting tired just from players ragging the puck in the offensive zone, and then they flail around far too much. It makes for a really arcadey, unrealistic game, and if you want an arcade feel to the game, there are other options like NHL Hits 03, or if EA really wants to go for that type of vibe for their game, they should just bring back NHL 3-on-3 Arcade. I feel like a lot of the goals in the trailer, technical test, and now 10-hour trial could have just been routine glove saves. Hitting is far different this year. I personally couldn't get the hang of it in the technical test, but I know others who really like it as it gives you an option to hit in different situations, rather than just missing a generic hit and being left out of position. So if used correctly and learning the new way to play, the game could give defensemen new options to defend. Alternatively, it leaves room for new glitches and exploits for forwards. So for probably the 4th year in a row, it looks like people who genuinely enjoy playing defense are being left in the dust by EA. Reverse hitting is flat out stupid, and I would have just left it as an X factor because 5'6" snipers reverse hitting is dumb as hell. Like in the trailer, Tavares absolutely trucks Dougie Hamilton, which would just never happen in real life. Again, if you want to make it more arcade style, bring back 3-on-3 Arcade. Now we get a glimpse at glass breaking being brought back as a new feature as EA pulls off their specialty move of bringing something back for the 5th or 6th time as a new feature. I can't believe we made it this far into the video without me mentioning that they completely changed the controls this year. The new total control skill moves, or whatever stupid name they gave it, are flat out awful. It is 100% 100% a change to make the game more casual friendly. Moves like the Michigan are supposed to be difficult to complete and pull off. With this new button mapping change, the between the legs and toe drag can't be cancelled or faked anymore, because as soon as you release the button, your player releases the puck, which just doesn't make any sense. Casual players take to Reddit and other forums to complain, and they literally made this switch for people who have never picked up a sports game in their life. And it's probably because sales are way down, especially in longtime players, because EA has completely lost the trust of these people. Long overdue change. The NBA 2K games have this, the old NHL 2K games have this, and it's an amazing addition. Honestly, 10 out of 10. It's great for breakouts, it's great for just passing in general, great for passing in the O zone or on the power play. The pass behind the back from behind the net is gorgeous, and I'm glad players are going to be able to get a little more creative with this switch. I mentioned goaltending a bit earlier, but they went into a deeper dive in this trailer for the goaltending, and it is awful. New tether system will not make it to NHL 25, I promise you that. I mean, from the clips that have come out from the 10-hour trials so far, every goalie is now Booker T. New animations would have been enough, but this new tether system has completely ruined the position for good. One thing to note is they have acknowledged this and have rolled it back and are bringing back the old controls. That means the NHL 23 controls. If you're like me and have been playing goalie since the early EASHL days, which is exactly how you pronounce it by the way, I'm not sure what eShell is, nobody knows what eShell is, and you completely made that up. So if you're like me and have been playing since the early days, you use what's called the alternate controls. To my knowledge, those won't be back, so for the majority of people, this will be an entirely new learning curve. A change that I and people who play goalie find incredibly disappointing and a colossal failure on EA's part. So that's it for the official reveal trailer, and the only thing I could think of when it ended was everyone on Reddit last year defending EA. Oh, you know what guys, they didn't add much to NHL 23, it's gonna suck, and you know why? Because they're gonna really focus on 24. 24 is gonna blow us out of the water, it's the 30-year anniversary of NHL 94. Guys, if this is what we were working and waiting towards, we deserve a lot better. The next bit of content we received was the World of Chell deep dive, and this is really exciting because World of Chell is pretty much all I play. They mentioned crossplay right away, but we've covered that earlier. But there was something I did find interesting in the early going of this trailer. The menus and the scoreboard are exactly the same again. Not only are the menus the same, but they might be slower and less responsive than previous years. I made this a point in my video last year because they've now been the same menus for 4 consecutive years. And I know it's a minor thing that a lot of people don't care for, but when you buy a new game and it has a new, fresh presentation package, it feels so nice. And it gets you excited and truly feels like a fresh gaming experience. This is the complete opposite of that feeling. It is exactly the same. Not a thing has changed besides the color. Not to mention, by all accounts on Reddit and Twitter and from friends of mine, the UI is absolutely terrible and has even more glitches and rabbit holes than before somehow. Match My Goalie isn't an option anymore. I can't see how that won't be a problem moving forward. But don't worry guys, they'll add it back into NHL 26 as a brand new feature to World of Chell. You now have to customize both a home and away pro without a copy button. So what that means is you basically have to make your pro twice and make sure you have everything you want on both home and away. And remember when they said they got rid of hockey bags and you can unlock any piece of equipment you wanted whenever you wanted? A straight up lie. If it's not in the store's front page, which is a certain set of specific gear, like maybe 12 or so items, you have no possible way of buying it. But once again, they lied and they're taking things out. They finally fixed the playoff format in World of Chell. Hooray! EASHL is now a new 7-game playoff format similar to the 4-game format we had up until NHL 20. The last system sucked horribly, was a complete failure, nobody liked it, and we have been asking for this to be reverted to the old system for years now.
The community spoke and we listened.
I can promise you, not a soul on this planet asked for a World of Chell Battle Pass. I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year, they're simply trying to make this game exactly like Fortnite. Except it's not free to play, it's hard to find games, it's usually not fun to play, and it has a plethora of glitches. But this edition isn't all bad. I mean, hockey bags are finally dead, so rest in peace to the worst progression system in gaming history. You now have the ability to complete challenges and earn rewards by playing the game. There is a paid version of the Battle Pass, but as it stands, EA says they won't put anything you will need like X Factors in there. The World of Chell store is a welcome addition where you're able to spend coins you earn through playing on jerseys of your choosing instead of a random signed Chris Pronger jersey in a hockey bag. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, you might only be able to unlock at the time what they provide to you in the store's front page. So overall, there are some great quality of life changes coming to World of Chell that we've been asking for the last 4 or 5 years now, but honestly, there's nothing really new or enticing, and it leaves me feeling pretty disappointed as it's my most played game mode. They need to add the ability to go into practice mode with your teammates and run drills that you draw up. Maybe another game mode or two just to spice things up, but I think there's just so much more they can do with not only the presentation, but the game mode. I mean, guys, we're on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. There's more we can do here. Speaking of more we can do here, this game is still not on PC, guys. Can we talk about that for a second? I do have a theory, and I will let you guys in on it here for free. My theory is they don't want to make it for PC because modders will have a field day with this game, upgrading things in the game and updating rosters just like they do in NHL 04 Rebuilt. I mean, NHL 04 Rebuild has the current rosters, the current goal horns, the current arenas. It's a lot of fun. Imagine what modders could do with the technology today. But I think EA sees the danger in this and that it will render future releases completely useless for these people since it's almost a roster update every year at this point anyway. I mean, come on, the 2 biggest major selling points last year were fixing the passing, which is a patchable upgrade, and adding women players into the game. By the way, congrats to the PWHL on getting started. But if those are 2 of your features, that's like when you beat Spider-Man, the movie, the game, and you unlock the ability to play the whole campaign again as the Green Goblin. It's still the exact same game in story mode. You're just using another person. And you got that feature as a cool little bonus for completing the game. You didn't have to purchase Spider-Man, the movie, the game 1.5 for $80 to unlock that feature. Relive the moment Nick Suzuki won it for the Montreal Canadiens in overtime against the Leafs in Game 5, but if you want to recreate it, click here to spend $29.99. Now, as I said last year, I don't play HUT, and I haven't since maybe NHL 12. This is gonna upset a lot of people, but personally, it sucks as a game mode. It's completely pay to win. It's not fun, and honestly, if you spend money on this game mode, you are the problem. A lot of people don't want to hear that, but if you spend money in HUT, you are why this game sucks. It's so clear that this game is now catered to this game mode and microtransactions. All they want is kids to buy packs using their mom's Visa card for Christmas. That's all they want. That's all that this game mode is. Why do you think they added that new battle pass into EASHL and the World of Chell? They want more of your money. They're not making any money off of the unit sales. And I just find it laughable that they say they listen to the community because it's clear that they don't. And they continually mock the player base year after year by adding things that nobody asked for and ignoring the wish list every person has every year. Where's the Winter Classic? Why don't we have the All-Star games and the All-Star competitions? Actual upgrades to be a pro where you can play from your Pee-wee team all the way to the Hall of Fame. And please change the be a pro story. We'll get into it later, but change the story. It's been 5 years. Where's the coaches challenges? Where's the be a ref mode? Where's practice before games start like FIFA? Where's GM Connected? We had it 10 years ago. And with the technology we have on these consoles in 2023, the only excuse I see for not having it in the game is we are lazy. Then we got the presentation trailer, and this was a very hot topic in NHL 23, so let's get into it. Hype moments are literally just different crowd noises which sound like 5 guys in a studio, and the audio levels are all completely off. Creation Zone UI looks super clunky and maybe a little more organized. I don't know, it's hard to tell. There is a lot going on here. And apparently one of the most asked for features was adding the fishbowl visor to any helmet you want, which is really cool, by the way. Connor Bedard really made that famous, but really? The most requested feature was fishbowl visors?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that's not?
New celebration cinematic is horrible. All you do is hit a button and the cinematic takes over and celebrates for you. It's so boring. People have taken to Twitter to post some of the new celebrations, and it makes the game feel exactly like Fortnite and like you're using Fortnite emotes. It just doesn't sit right with most of the player base. All of this feels so forced and wrong. I mean, who is this game made for exactly? I think they've completely lost touch with their intended demographic. I think they're just trying to get people to buy this game if they've never played it before. New dynamic rink boards could possibly get distracting, and hopefully there's an option to turn them off, but personally I think it's cool and it's a video game. It's a cool little feature I think is fun and can add to the experience with goal animations and other stats. They're introducing Cheryl Pounder as the new color commentator, which is a great addition, but I think majority of people either play with the commentary off or audio off completely. The new lighting effects before face-offs are true to real teams and motions, and I think this is not only a long overdue addition, but certainly a welcome one. They touched on the soundtrack. Wait, what? Absolute bangers here, folks. This is awesome. Now we know why there was only 2 changes this year. It's because the entire budget was blown on Darude Sandstorm. They actually added pre-game presentations to the remaining teams after last year's failure to mention that only 6 teams had the feature after marketing it as a huge new addition to the game. Replays and true broadcast camera have been added back into the game, and honestly my only question about that is why were they ever taken out? Like, why is this even something to mention? Why were they removed? Now, one of the last things I'll mention in this video is the lack of changes to game modes. There was no trailer for franchise mode or be a pro because there are no changes again. To me, that game mode is completely unplayable at this point, as it's the exact same thing it's been for the last 4 or 5 years. There is zero incentive in my eyes for you to buy this game if you're a strictly offline player. There are very few changes to franchise mode. Again, just quality of life changes. People on Reddit and Twitter are already complaining through the 10-hour trial that it's completely broken and needs a patch. And I mean, the game just came out. I mean, look at this screenshot from Tugi24 on Twitter. He simulated an entire season and McDavid scored 85 points in 82 games. How does that make any sense? They also added in franchise that players under 27 years of age can earn abilities, and players over the age of 32 can lose their abilities during the season. And while that's a cool feature, I think there has to be exceptions. I mean, imagine seeing Ovi lose his slapshot power just because he's over 35. The guy is still firing on all cylinders. He's 37. He still puts up almost 50 goals a year. So that change seems a bit random and useless for some players. But again, the major changes are all small glitch and bug corrections with no real incentive to buy this game if you play offline. And even as somebody who predominantly plays World of Chell like myself, there's no real hype for this game. If you're genuinely excited to play this game, please let me know why. And I feel like back in the day, there were so many new exciting game modes each year that you could look forward to, and there's really nothing to look forward to playing this year. And there are new producers on deck and personnel at EA. They have a lot of work to do still. If we're still only looking forward to NHL 25 and 26, they're not doing their job. As it stands with NHL 24, it's NHL 22 and 23 thrown in the microwave like last night's leftovers. The new total control system caters the entire game to people who have never picked up a sports game and completely closes the skill gap in the game, which in retrospect may make sense for EA moving forward. It may in fact be a new era of NHL video games, one where the longtime player base has finally become so apathetic towards it that they have to market the game to people who have never played it to make sure they hit their sales goals. That's it for this video. If you didn't check out my review of last year's NHL game, go check that out and let me know what you think, and check out some of our other videos.